European Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome everybody to the very first episode of the European Wrestling Podcast. I'm Belthazar, and this is a new project that I really wanted to do for a long time, and now is the time. My first guest is gonna be a friend, somebody that I train with, and in the indie, everybody knows her as Leva Bates, but when it comes about big time promotion, she's now the librarian. Leva Bates just signed up recently with AEW, and she also has been on WWE NXT as the Blue Pants several years ago. And she's pretty well known around the indie scene in the United States, and she has been everywhere. And it's a real pleasure to have Leva Bates here with me today for the very first episode of the European Wrestling Podcast. I'm Belthazar, and here we go.
European Wrestling Podcast.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. It's kind of okay.
I don't know how much more of your intro you're going to do, so I was just going to let you go. So you guys...
So, Leva, how you doing? We haven't speak for a while, but we know each other for maybe it's now 10 years, almost 10 years. No, it is 10 years that we
Oh my
know each
gosh.
other.
Why are we so old?
Yeah, that makes you feel kind of old. So we met back at the Team 3 Academy. We both trained with the Dudleys, and so today we are here to talk about your experience that you had here in Europe, and I want to ask you. So go back, like you came to my show in 2014. What's your memories of that experience, like the trip, because it is a long fly and everything, and just go over all your memory that you had about this trip, and then we go specific into the show or some of the stuff that we did. So what's your memory about this trip that you had in Europe in 2014?
Well, to be honest, I believe besides Mexico, it's my very, very first international show. Like, it's my first European show, period, completely.
Okay.
I did your show in Switzerland before I did the UK tour, before I even made it to Germany or anything. And it followed my first Mexican trip a little bit like right after that, which actually the Mexican trip was not a very good experience at all.
Okay.
So your trip, the trip to Switzerland was 100 like degrees different. It was so much better. Like you were very like hospitable. You took care of me. The flight wasn't bad. Like international flights are kind of cool. I've done a couple of them now. I went to Europe as a non-wrestler when I was 15
Okay.
for a school trip, and so I went to
Yeah,
England,
you told me
France,
that.
and
You
Italy.
told me that.
Yeah, so it wasn't the very first time I've been to Europe, but it was the first time I've been to Europe to wrestle. So I was very excited. I was very nervous. I didn't want to mess up. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of pressure because when you think about it, like when you sell like someone who's not a wrestler, let's say someone who's just like, hey, I'm trying to sell you my product. Well, if you sell a product and it's bad, someone's going to come back and be like, hey, I want my money back. I know it's silly, but I'm so terrified as a performer that someone's not going to like my performance. So you invest all this money to bring you over and to pay you your wage and pay you to perform, and then they don't like what you do. I know that's silly, and it's a little bit irrational, but it's especially when you're still young in the business.
Yeah.
You worry, like, what if I don't do a good job? What if you're not happy? And again, I was very lucky that a friend of mine, you, was the one that booked me. It wasn't like I was being booked by a total stranger. I didn't know where I was going. So honestly, this was probably like one of the best first trips because I was going over there with someone I knew. Like I said, we trained in America together. When you came over here at the deli school, we took care of you. I drove you around a little bit when I could, So we already knew each other, and actually came over a couple times. And so it was someone I was very comfortable with. You know what I mean? Like, as opposed to, well,
Yeah,
I've never
'cause
met this dude. I
because
hope it's
you
not like Taken. I hope Liam Neeson can go and like save
Yeah, because
me if it's
you
someone I
are
don't know.
you are
Just like,
less pressure because I can understand like somebody broke you over from oversee it, and you don't know exactly what he expect from you. And well, it always depends what's the reason behind a booking. And to me as a promoter back then was beside the fact that we know each other, to me it was Leva Bates for me was somebody that you work a lot on the social media, and because of you we had a lot of international attention. Like I made some connection, I made my promotion and in contact with more people from outside Europe, because you use a lot of social media, Twitter and everything. And
that is awesome.
and and especially when you and I knew sooner or later you will actually end up doing something big. And in fact I was right, because when you went to NXT as a blue pant, like the views of your match that you had over here, it like the views blew up. Like I had a lot of people. It was a year or 2 years later, but the idea behind have you here eventually worked out.
Yeah.
So that was the reason for me behind your booking. And beside that, so I was the flight like because was the longest you ever had beside I mean, as a wrestler, as a worker. That was
I might have been your flight. I'm trying to think because trying to remember because I think the one to England wasn't as long. I think it might have been like an hour shorter or something.
yeah,
You
a
know what
little
I
bit
mean?
short.
So, and then
Yeah.
when I went to Germany, I was already in England. So the flight from England to Germany was really short. Like we got on the plane, and then when we landed, it was like, wait, we already landed? Oh my God, that's so quick. You know what I mean? So, and then going from England to Germany, and they're like, whatever, get off the plane. Like even like customs didn't care. Like whatever, get off the plane. Whereas like when you go from America to England or America to Switzerland, a lot more you have to go through customs and all of that. So it was definitely a very nerve-wracking experience, because you're like, even though if you have your paperwork all lined up or whatever, it's still like, what if they let me in? Like what if they think it's weird? But no,
Well,
I had no problem getting in. So the flight itself is great. Like, what I love about international flights that you don't get on like domestic flights in America? You don't get food.
yeah.
I love the little dinners. Little dinners are like the greatest thing, and then you get movies. But now, like, more domestic flights are starting to get movies and stuff on our flights.
Yeah. No,
Especially if I
well,
go from like Florida to California, you get like
yeah, that's a kind of long.
yeah, usually get movies and stuff. But man, at the time, again, like 2014, which was
Yeah.
5 years ago, good lord, like that wasn't as prevalent. Now it's almost every flight has like TV, unless it's
Yeah,
like
but
really
it's
cheap
the
flight.
same thing. It's the same thing over here. We have the EasyJet, which is a very cheap company to fly place to place in Europe. And as I recall, they don't have screen. No, they don't have screen. They don't have any screen. They have maybe the big screen, like a couple of screen in the plane, but you don't have your own screen. That's just international flight. And yeah, do you remember when you actually land? Because you couldn't get the what's it called, the Wi-Fi, and I was looking for you, and it took like an hour just to meet. And when we finally met, you said, "Well, I'm American." I thought, I'm a stupid American. I got lost, but it was.
I remember saying that. Yeah. Like, stupid American got lost. No, yeah, because I don't think there was any Wi-Fi at the time. Again, it's crazy how 5 years makes such a difference. Like 5 years ago, it was harder to find Wi-Fi than it is now, and still now it's not the easiest thing. But most airports, at least
Yeah,
in
most of them they have
America,
it.
have Wi-Fi because of that. Because international people who come over, they may not have like an international plan. So if you have to contact someone, you got Wi-Fi. Whereas, in 2014, there was a lot of places that had Wi-Fi, but not every place had Wi-Fi. So I remember that now. I do. Oh my god.
And also for everybody out there listening, do not change your money in the airport because they're gonna screw you big time. And that's exactly what happened to you. Do you remember you changed like $100 and you got nothing? Like they screw you
Yeah.
over.
I remember because it was like we were going to do it like for some reason it was like, well, and then we have to change it over here before you fly over. So I'm like, okay, I'll change it over, and it was like, oh yeah, they completely like screwed us over big time.
Yeah, because they change you twice. Like because you flew to Italy actually in Milan, which is the closest airport to South Switzerland, and so when you got there, you change from dollars to euro, and then from euro to Swiss francs, and so they double screw you because they took money for every change you did. So you changed.
Yeah, that would
So
get you. Like it's always the fees that get you. It's never the actual like we all understand there's the exchange rate. So like, all right, so the exchange rate, I know like your whatever is my dollar. Okay, cool. But then it's like, oh, but there's a fee for this and a fee for that. So I remember when I went to England, I learned from the mistake I had in Switzerland. So so we went outside of the airport. We went somewhere else, and
Yeah.
then I think I just switched it over once I landed over here because it was again me being an American switching it over.
Yeah,
I
'cause
think I went to the bank to
that's
do it. Like,
that's something maybe you don't realize over there because I mean United States is such of a big country, but you always have dollars. Well, you can go to Canada, which has a different dollars, but like in the States, dollars are dollars. So you don't have to
exactly.
worry to change money. So it was a kind of something new for you.
Yeah, it was again. It was the second time I ever wrestled outside of the country ever, and the first time, like in with Mexico, you just it's kind of like, oh well, we'll just wait till I get home and I can switch it out then. That's no problem. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't a big deal. But here, again, I think we also it was like you get paid in American dollars anyway. So,
Well,
so
it's
over
up.
there, it was like, ooh, I got a little
Well,
bit of money. I guess
it's
whatever.
up to the promoter, of course. I personally I pay the guys with their monies. Like when I book people like from Italy or Germany or whatever, I pay them in euro, even if we have Swiss francs. But like it's something I do for them. So I pay with their money, so they don't have to go and somewhere and change it. So that the same thing I did with you. I give you some dollars. So, but now something else I wanted to ask you about it, going more specific into the show. Did you remember any different about the crowd? I mean, the fans over here. Any big difference between how you work in the States, or well, I guess you didn't know what to expect. So, but
Yeah, it was surprisingly normal. You know what I mean? Like it was like when you go over, you never know, like because I feel like even within America, like different areas in America are very different. Like a southern crowd is a little bit different than maybe a crowd in like the northeast area. So like again, you don't really know what to expect. But when I went over there, it was a hot crowd. They were into everything. They were cheering, booing. They were all into everything. And then they even cheered me, which I was again. I'm like I'm not even from this continent. You know what I mean? So when people get behind you and they're into you, and again, I'm very self-deprecating, so I'm like, why would anyone cheer me? But they do, and you're like, oh my god, this is awesome. So no, I was very surprised on how, considering I wasn't from there, how normal the crowd was, if that makes any sense. It was
and
awesome. It was great. I remember, and it was a lot of people. It was a lot more people than I expected. Because again, with shows here, you can do one show and you have like thousands of people, and then you turn around and you do a show the next night and you'll have like maybe 50 people.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I wasn't sure what kind of crowd we were gonna have, and the fact that it was in a bigger building like it was, and we had like people were in the bleachers and stuff. That was kind of wow. That's a lot of people here, and it felt like it was a very big production, a bigger production than I was expecting. So
Yeah, and
that
well,
was awesome.
actually, the funny part is that I didn't know either, because that was just the second show ever I ever promoted. So, and the first one was in 2012, and the second one was in 2014, and like the first one went very well, but the second one, it's 2 years later, and we don't have much wrestling down here, so it's just it was kind of, if it's once again the first one ever, some kind, because the last one was 2 years early. So I didn't know how to expect either, and so I was kind of nervous for that show. And right now is kind of different, because now I'm promoting more often, and now we start having fans that follow us regularly, so it's more easy to work the crowd. But like when they don't know who you are, it's always hard, but that's a part of the job, right? So as Baba always said, first thing first, you gotta let them know who you are, and give them a reason to cheer for you, actually, or boo you.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we've been lucky to have really good guidance in that aspect. Having Bubba and Devon as our teachers, like, we're very well rounded. Not only do you learn how to move in the ring, but they also teach you that type of thing, like personality and character and promos and how to work a crowd. So I feel like you and I are kind of prepared for that, or we're prepared, especially
Yeah.
so early in our careers for that. So that, yeah, I feel really lucky for that.
And there's two more things that I wanted to talk about the crowd, because I remember two specific things. And who the fuck is making this noise in the background by the end?
I'm so sorry. The thing is, I'm actually in a quieter area, but I'm outside, so
Tell them to
there's a car in the
stop
background.
it. It's not good.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's not Leva fault, okay? So anyway, yeah, I was two things that I remember was, first thing you asked me, you were kind of going crazy before getting here, because your character is a cosplayer, and you were looking for something in the pop culture in Switzerland. You couldn't find anything. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That you were going crazy because you told me I can't find anything that could work over there, and at the end I told you something.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, you don't have to sorry about that. It doesn't matter.
I'm gonna go back inside, see if that works.
And if you remember, at the end, because the picture I put in the poster, you had this black, what's it called?
Bodysuit?
Yeah, this black bodysuit, and you had some violet in your hair. It was black and violet. And I said, you know
Uh-huh.
something? You look like the girl in the Lego movie.
Oh my God, you did say that. I remember that now.
And
Yes.
and so you came out at the end. You played that, like, you came out with everything is awesome. You
Yeah, I
remember that?
did. Yeah, because that's my actual my Black Widow suit. But if you look at the Black Widow suit, it's very similar to the Lego girl because it has that like secret agent ninja thing. Because that's kind of what Black Widow is. She's like a secret agent ninja, and then so is the Lego movie. So like the character from the Lego movie. So that's kind of awesome.
And that was the only thing we could find, and I think it kind of worked. I don't know if it really they got it, but for those who got it, it was awesome. and and the second thing, it was at some point. This is really funny. I don't even know if you ever realized that. At some point, you were doing you were the baby face, and you were doing the chicken wings thing to the other girl.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
well, it's called our chicken.
yeah, you were like, you were chicken, and you were like doing the like when you move your arms like a chicken, and
Mhm.
that's something that works in the United States because they know what you mean, but nobody knows what you what you were
I
doing over here.
That is true. Well,
So
I think they appreciate the ridiculousness of it. I would hope.
you were
Maybe
stand
not.
you were standing in the middle of the ring doing this chicken thing, and people was looking at you like, what? What? What she's doing? So that that was kind of interesting.
That's so odd that like you guys don't have like that equivalent there. That's so weird. But again,
Well, we do,
that's the
we
beauty
do
of like,
have.
especially when you're young, internationally traveling when you're young, because you find the things that work and you find things that don't work.
Well, we have our things, but are different. And it's the same thing when you tell a joke in English that it has an American joke that they don't get it here. And same thing the other way around. So that was kind of funny because I was looking at you and I was like, she doesn't know what like. But yeah, when you realize that, it's kind of funny. But anyway, you did an awesome job and everything went well. You were working with Layla Rose,
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
she was very new by the end because she was in the crowd 2 years early. She was in the front row watching the show just 2 years early. And in just 2 years, she trained a lot, and she was inside the ring instead uh, just a fan. Um, so uh, another thing I wanted to ask you is, do you remember when you jump out of the dam, the James Bond dam over here?
Oh yeah. When I bungee jumped. Yes. Okay. Well, it was like when I jumped out of what? I thought you meant at the show, and I'm like, I didn't jump anything out of the show.
No, no, I was talking about the James Bond.
Yeah. Oh my God. No. Yeah. That was still one of my highlights of any of my trips.
Yeah,
It was
you
still the only
sh
time I've ever bungee jumped,
you should
and it was so
remember
much
that.
fun.
Well, you should remember that because was 700 feet, which is 200 meters. That's a big deal.
Oh man, yeah, and it's so funny because like when we were watching the other people like do it. Remember that guy that was right in front of me? He kept
Yeah,
stutter stepping, and he was so scared to do it. But like that's kind of what inspired me to be like, okay, especially when you like learn stunts, they always say commit. If you stutter, if you kind of second guess yourself, that's when you get hurt. And that's what the guy was doing. Like he's an older man,
yeah,
but he was in front of us, and he would say like, "Okay, you ready?" And I would start counting, 1, 2, and then he would like stutter and stop himself. Like you know what I mean? And he
yeah.
didn't want to jump because he got scared. And they're like, "All right, you can do this." And he did it again, and he kept. It just eventually he ended up not doing it. I don't know if you like when you don't do it, if you still pay and you just don't do it, or
You,
what. But I remember.
I guess you pay something because they had to get you ready for, and it takes like 20 minutes or something to get you ready for.
So yeah, so you still lose money then, like. But it's like I remember he ended up not doing it at all, and I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. Not as bad crazy, but it's just like you already paid for it, just do it. Like my thing is, I mean, yeah, there's some risk, a little bit of risk, but the thing is, this is something that people do multiple times every day. Like they're professionals, they know how to hook you up and stuff.
Yeah,
So
hopefully, yeah, but
I almost jumped before he finished counting 3 because I was like, all right, that is the thing. I can't stutter step. I can't second guess myself. I just got to go and do it. No guessing, no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm just going to do it. So when he counted, it was like, okay, you ready? And I guess he's so used to people like, kind of getting scared and hesitating. So when I did it, he was like, oh, I remember they said something when I came back, like, you just went for it. Because it was like, he went 1, 2, and as he was saying 3, I was already in the air.
yeah,
I remember like, let's go, woo! And the thing is, it was like I was so amazed by it, like I was in awe that I didn't even scream until like halfway through. Because you're supposed to like yell, But like I was so like, oh wow, this is cool. Oh, I should be yelling, yeah, woo, suck it, 007. Like just saying whatever that come to mind. But yeah, I remember that because it was just like I was so in awe of like, oh wow, this is so different than I expected it to be. Because it was like it was a thrill, but it was also kind of comforting. Like it was just like you're just kind of gliding down in the air. I mean, if you weren't attached to something, that'd be really different, scenario, obviously, but it was like, wow, it's almost like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a weirdo, but it was almost like it was thrilling and calming at the same time because it was such a like, I don't know, like a beauty of it, I guess. So,
But
I
I
don't know.
think I think it's something you can't really describe. I mean, you got to do it.
That was so much fun.
We also have been on the castles visiting.
Oh my gosh, those pictures are still some of my favorite when they pop up in my memories. Oh man, it's so beautiful over there. It really is. The only downside is everything closes so early. You guys don't do anything after like 5 o'clock. It's like, oh well, you want to go grab this or maybe check it out? Oh no, it closes soon. What?
Yeah. That's I still don't get it. Like I guess we are the only country on planet Earth that have the stores that close so early, and that's embarrassing, especially from a tourist standpoint. But that's the way it is, and I'll probably still for the next 20 years. We did try to change that, but that's the way it is.
There's no need for you to apologize or anything. I just found it completely like, oh wow, that's so crazy. Because again,
Yeah, but we think it's stupid too.
like where I'm from in Madisonville, Kentucky, which is a very small like country town. It closes probably like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, which is really early. But like if you live in Orlando, there's places that are open 24 hours. A lot of stores are open till 11 or midnight. So it's like if you're from a big city, you can always go grab something whenever you want. You know what I mean? Like from a store most of the time. But like if you're from like a smaller like country area in America, then you can't, or you have to drive a lot farther. And I wasn't expecting, because I mean it's big city, but you guys, it's like an older city because there's so much more history, and you know what I mean, than America, because America obviously was founded a lot later. Like,
well, to me that
anyway,
was
I just
to me.
find it very interesting and intriguing that like it had that like that feel to it. And again, it wasn't country at all. It wasn't bumpkin, but it was very beautiful. It just it had a different feel to it. You know what I mean? It was had like antique feel, which was very like regal and nice. But it was also like everything closes at 5 or 6, and you're like, huh? What do you guys do then?
Well, not everything, like the major stores. Then when it comes about restaurants and clubs and everything, then it's pretty much like you guys over there. But that's the same for me. The other way around. When I came to Orlando, I was there 6 months the first time. To me, it was kind of strange that you go to McDonald's and it's open 24 hours. That was crazy for me, from my standpoint. And it does difference that it's but that's why we like to travel around and see different things.
Yeah, it's I think it's really cool. Like, I mean, it shows how we're all very much alike, all very much different. You know what I mean? Like cultures and everything. Like when especially if you're so ingrained into where you live, and like you just get used to certain things. So when you do travel, that's why I love traveling so much, because it opens your eyes and it opens your mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're like, oh yeah, there are other things. There are more than just what your little like bubble of life consists of. The different ideologies and cultures and the way people live. It's so fascinating, honestly. That's why I love traveling so much.
And there's one more thing that I want to say about this trip that you had in my country, or when it comes about the show that you that you had over here, and I don't know if you ever told this story in an interview or some of your friends or whatever, but this is very important for me, because when you were supposed to came here, and 2 weeks before, or 3 weeks, I think 2 weeks before the show, you got the call from TNA. They actually booked you in a pay-per-view. Do you remember that? You got booked.
Yeah.
you got booked in a TNA pay-per-view and you turn them down to come here, and that's not something that most of the wrestlers will do it, because TNA is TNA. You've been there before, but it's still, back then in 2014, TNA still pretty big, and so you turned down a TNA pay-per-view booking to come here, and that was, to me, that was, I really appreciate that, because you showed everybody that you were very professional. Besides friendship, you were very professional, and you kept the first booking that you got, and that I really appreciate that, and I still thank you for that. And what's your memory about that deal with TNA that never happened?
Well, they ended up booking me the next year because it was a call for I want to say the first knockdown. I don't know. Yeah, I think it was either the very first one or the first one they contacted me for, at least, for the knockdown. And the thing is, like I told you, it's like, you guys already bought the plane tickets, you already invested lots of money just to bring me over. I'm not going to turn it down just because I feel like, yeah, it might have been, I don't know, would it have been better for my career? Would it have not been better for my career? I don't know, but it's very unfair for me to say, hey, I know this is 2 weeks before the show, but I'm going to pull out. I'm very much the type of person, this is my word. Now, if there's something I can work around, all right, well, on the flip side, I've had, well, let me pay your, plane ticket back, whatever. I ended up not having to worry about that, but you know what I mean? I don't want to cost the company money. Long story short, if you're investing in me and taking the chance on me, I'm not going to pull out on you and cost you a lot of money, because that would have cost you a lot of money, and you probably wouldn't have been able to find someone else to come in at that short amount of time, and with all the paperwork that you have to do. So there's just no way. And you know what? It ended up working out okay, because they called me the next year. And, I was very professional about it. I told them it was an international booking. I didn't want to, again, it was flights were already covered and involved, and all of that was completely covered. And it ended up working out, because I've done two since then. You know what I mean? They called me exactly the next year. I ended up doing it, and then the one after that, I believe, or maybe it was 2 years after. I don't remember exactly.
Probably 2 years after.
Years blend in together, but I've done two since then for them. So it wasn't like I burned a bridge. I was very upfront and honest. I told them why. And it sucks. I've had to do that to Japan. Japan hit me up, and they were like, hey, we really want you to come over. But I had already been booked on all of these American dates, and there's a lot of planes, and there was lots of plane tickets involved. And the thing is, it's like, even though I've never been to Japan and I always wanted to go, but it was like, I can't cost all of these people several hundreds and hundreds of dollars just because, I want to go to Japan. And maybe I could have, I don't know. Everyone, I've told all the time I'm too nice for my own good, but I just don't feel like it's fair to the companies that, again, you're taking a chance on me, that you want to bring me in, and again, what if it doesn't work out? What if people don't like me? It's a lot of internal struggles that go into a performer, right? You understand that?
Yeah, but
the last thing I want to do is to cost the company money that's already taking a chance on me.
But that's that's something that not everybody will do, because it happens all the time over here, that guys book American wrestlers, and 2 weeks before they cancel for whatever reason. It happened a lot. So it's even more important for me that you didn't fucked up the booking, because that's something that most of the time it goes wrong. Not most of the time, but many times goes wrong. So it's not something that everybody will do it. So again, I was really glad that it went well. And actually, this really works well for you, because you once told me that back then in 2014, if you do something with TNA, and something on TV as an Impact episode or a pay-per-view, they make you sign some paper that you're not gonna be able to be on any other TV show or any other pay-per-view for a year. So if you will have signed that papers, like you did, by the way, when you had that small segment with Hogan and Sting in one of the episode, or maybe it was a pay-per-view, I don't remember, on TNA. So if you will end up doing this pay-per-view that you turn down, and you will have signed those papers, you won't be able to be on WWE for a year, so you won't be able to answer the call for the NXT, which turned out to be a great deal because then you became Blue Pants, and so at the end it really worked out pretty good for you.
Yeah, like a lot of people kind of worry and complain, like, oh man, I gotta, maybe you gotta do things you probably wouldn't want to do because you feel like you have to do it. Like, oh man, what if I have to do this? But sometimes things work out for the best. So, like you said, like I turned down TNA again. I was very, humble and nice and very apologetic to him. I told him, hey, I've already been booked, international flights, lots of money was involved. I can't cost them that money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were understanding. And karma, you know what I mean? That's karma. If you try to put good out in the world, good will come back. You know what I mean? It all works out. There's reasons why things happen. You know what I mean? Like I ended up having to turn down again another Japan trip. It's not that I don't want to, but because of this was actually right after Switzerland. Because it was, to be honest, the money they were offering me couldn't cover. Again, I'm a grown-ass adult, so I have my own bills, and you know what I mean. Like I have my own place. So it's not like I have to pay rent. I have to pay my car payment. So the money couldn't cover my bills. And I mean, it happens a lot of times when you're young. You still get paid. It's not you don't get paid. You still get paid, but when you're young, you can take this lower pay to get the experience, which is wonderful and awesome, and I definitely recommend it. But at the time in my life, I was a little bit older, and I had bills and responsibilities, and I couldn't leave my full-time job to go for 3 months in Japan. Do you know if I would have left, I wouldn't have been called to be a Rosebud or Blue Pants, because I would have been in Japan. Things happen for a reason. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea that was going to happen. I was so heartbroken. Because again, I've always wanted to go to Asia, and I've yet to ever crack Asia to this day still. So it was one of those. It's so frustrating, but at the time, what was it like? We're talking about I did NXT 5 years ago. At the time, it was the best. Yeah, at the time, it was the best for me as an adult. For me to not, go bankrupt and make sure my bills are paid and be a responsible adult, unfortunately. So I had to turn it down. But because of that door is open for me to step in and do the Rosebud. And then when they called me like a month later, hey, we need you to do NXT, and that's how Blue Pants happened. Yeah, it's crazy. It's this whole sliding door thing.
And about NXT and about Blue Pants, did you got more booking right after the Blue Pants deal? Like, did it happen? I guess so, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Like, honestly, Blue Pants, like my whole social media blew up. The bookings blew up. Like everything just started blowing up because I got a lot more eyes and recognition. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, who's this girl? And because of Blue Pants, people were like, who is this girl? Oh, cool. She also cosplays and wrestles. That's actually a really cool idea. She's actually a gamer. Oh, wow, she's legit. She knows all about this, and this. Like, it was cool to do Blue Pants because it opened people's eyes to all of my other work. You know what I mean?
But let me ask you this, so because your character is not a single character. Like you are a cosplayer, but you now have these Blue Pants things going on. So when a booker contacts you and he wants to book you, did you get booked as a Blue Pants, or did you get booked as a Leva Bates, or you could make a choice, or like?
Yeah, it's both. Honestly, it depends on the booking and what the promoter wants. A lot of promoters wanted Blue Pants. A lot of promoters wanted actually the cosplay, which was shocking for me. I was like, I would always give them the option, because I would be like, well, I mean, you can use the name Blue Pants if you want cosplay and me play with this, or do you want me just in the blue pants? And it would be kind of shocking to be like, oh wow, this is we want cosplay, or okay, we want blue pants. So I did both all the time, all the time.
Okay, and well, about character, and now we are really getting close to the end because you need to get your car.
Yeah, that
So
it just called me.
yeah,
I didn't call in the
exactly.
call because we were talking.
Said the last thing I want to ask you is because like I just said, your character is a cosplayer, but now you sign with AEW, and you're making this character the librarian. I can't pronounce that name. What's
No,
I
you're saying it right, librarian. You said it
Librarian?
exactly
Okay.
right.
So,
Yeah.
are you kind of worried about it? Like, because you always have been like cosplayer and having different character, and now you have one, which is it makes sense because if you want to hook up an audience, you can a new audience, you can always change because then they get confused maybe. So, is that gonna last for a long time? Are you worried about it, or would you be able to change and go back doing kind of cosplayer in AW as well? How does it work?
Actually, I'm quite relieved. To be honest, it's doing the whole cosplay and wrestling thing. It got very tediously exhausting, because it was like people expected a different costume every match. Sometimes you're booked 3 matches a weekend, so they wanted different costumes. They wanted different this, and it just got a lot of work, and I wasn't getting the extra money for all the work I was putting in. So it got exhausting. It helped again. I had a blast doing it. It was a lot of fun, but it also was extremely time consuming and money consuming and exhausting. So the fact that I do have one character that I don't have to like bend over backwards, on an hourly like, oh
Yeah,
shit, I
yeah.
got a show in like 2 days, I gotta get this done. You know what I mean? It's nice. Plus I come from a theater background, so it's a role I can sink my teeth into, because it's not just one dimensional. You know what I mean? I'm going to make her have character arcs and growth and build. So I think it's going to be really cool, and it's really exciting to see where we go with this. And then
But
it's the librarian thing. If they decide, okay, that's done, now you're going to be this person, I can go with the punches. But cosplay on American TV doesn't really work because of all the legal issues.
okay.
There's trademarks, copyright infringements, parodies versus,
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
it's like you can't use, like,
You
you
can do
can't
that.
have someone wear a Batman signal unless they pay a special
Yeah,
price
that's
for that.
I
And
didn't think
to
about
do
that, but
weekly TV would be insanely crazy,
yeah,
insanely crazy to
it's
try to organize every week with the paperwork and the legal side of it, and sometimes they don't move that fast.
that will be
Not
crazy.
on a weekly basis. Especially with entertainment in general. Like, because I do acting, I do dance, I do characters, I do all the stuff. So I've been around to know how things change on the fly. Wrestling changes on the fly. So if let's say, all right, you're going to be Harley Quinn this weekend, cool, or this week, and then something changes and my opponent's not there, and then like, oh crap, Harley Quinn doesn't work for what you're about to do. Can you do Black Canary instead? But we may not have the legal right to do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's because that we didn't prep it. We prepped Harley Quinn.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about it. I mean, that would be way too expensive. There's no way. Let me ask you. So you still able work in the Indies, and so now do you get more booking? You still get booked as Leva Bates, or you now start getting booked as the librarian?
Um, Honestly, I'm not really doing shows right now as a librarian, because they definitely wanted me to debut it through AEW first.
Okay.
Just so people could get the eyes on that. I mean, obviously it's a video online, so people could see it, but But yeah, that's definitely more of an AEW thing. So right now in indie scene, I'm doing a lot of K-pop stuff, and I'm still doing the cosplay stuff. This weekend I'm actually cosplaying, so it's a lot of that. I mean, it's pretty much whatever the promoter wants, but I am kind of shying away a little bit from being full-blown librarian, just because I don't want to like impede on what's going on storyline-wise with AEW.
Okay, so Leva, thank you very much for this interview, for this new project that I have, this European wrestling podcast, and I wish you the best for your future. And I'm actually really happy for you that you sign up with AEW, because as I know you, I think you're somebody that needs more freedom, and I don't think if something like NXT will give you much freedom as AEW.
Yeah, I love it. I love the people involved. Everyone has such a good brain about all of it. So it's wonderful. I'm enjoying every second of it. So thank you very much.
So I'm looking forward and see. So you guys debut on TV on October?
Yes. I'm not sure if they've announced exactly when or the dates. I'm not allowed to say that, but yes.
Okay, so for everybody that wants to follow Leva Bates, what's your Facebook? What's your Twitter?
It is pretty much Wrestling Leva. If you type in wrestling, LEVA on one word, that is me on Twitter, Instagram, on Twitch, which is a video gaming streaming session, and then my Facebook is Leva Bates, the official FB page.
Okay, thank you, Leva. And if you want to watch the match that we just have been talking about back in 2014 at Pro Wrestling Live events, you can check out prowrestling.ch and you can find all the matches out there, or just looking for Leva Bates, Switzerland, Pro Wrestling Live events in YouTube, and you will find it. So thank you very much, Leva. We keep in touch, and best luck for your future.
All right, thank you so much.
European Wrestling Podcast.
Thanks everybody for listening to the very first episode of the European Wrestling Podcast. I'm Luca Rusconi Belthazar, and you can follow me on Twitter at @Luca_Rusconi. You can also follow me on Facebook on my profile Luca Rusconi Belthazar, or my page, which is Belthazar Pro Wrestling. I'm also on Instagram, of course, and as always Luca Rusconi Belthazar. And all the episodes are gonna be online on YouTube, and also available on my website, which is belthazar.com. And of course, if you are gonna share this episode, please use the hashtag European Wrestling Podcast. As well, if you have any question, again, hashtag European Wrestling Podcast. It takes a lot of work to make a podcast, and I need your help to make this podcast a big deal. So please follow me and share this episode, and also the following episode. Next guest is gonna be a European wrestler, a friend of mine, a guy that I shared the ring with, and he's a great guy, and I can't wait to have the next interview. So thanks everybody again. I'll see you next week.